introduce yourself?
No, come here. So, Mitchell, Joerik, get in here. So, first of all, thank you so much for coming. Okay? Those are my two really good friends, Joerik and Mitchell. Very excited that you guys are here. It's an honor, privilege, and we all want to learn from you. So let's keep it short. I think there's some guys that need to leave a little earlier.
Okay,
So,
I'm going to try to
get
keep
as
it
much
short. Yeah.
information as possible. I would only ask one question from the coaches. We always say the same thing. Please ask questions, and then no one's like, ask questions. You know, it's for you. You know, ask questions, and I think they have all the answers, or almost all the answers to it.
Wouldn't say that.
If not, we will figure it out. We will figure it out. Okay.
All right.
All right.
So I start?
All you.
Joerik?
Yes. All right.
Let's do it.
So I prepared a slideshow for you guys, and I did way too much. So it's going to be 123 slides, but I'm going to try to keep it under 45 minutes. All right. So we'll see how it goes. So real quick, a little bit of my background. So I started coaching when I was 19. At this point, I have like 3 companies. So we have Elite Athletes. So it's a 24/7 basketball gym in Antwerp. Then I do camps, clinics, pretty much worldwide. Then we have a youth basketball academy, so kind of like a club model with like 100 kids for 10 and 21. And then I got like a side hustle called Kids Sports. So it's kind of like parent and child classes for kids 1 to 5 years old. So what do I get prepared for you guys is like I got 8 different topics. So everything will be a little bit about player development, my vision on it, my experience from the last 15 years, what I can share with you guys. And I'm going to start with the 8-year test experiment that I did. So this is probably the biggest thing I think I've done of that helped me to get to the point where I am right now. So in 2010, I wanted to do an experiment. So I went to this very local club in Antwerp, and with a bunch of kids 10 years old who never played basketball. And I asked them like, okay, I want to train you guys for 8 years in a row. And we want to call the experiment kind of like the process. So the idea was inspired by the quote that you saw so much online, which was hard work beats talent if talent fails to work hard. So we wanted to put it on the test, like, is it true? Is it true that you are born with talent, or can you through hard work get to the same point? We want to change the culture in Belgium, how player development should look like. We want to change the vision of having a long-term pathway for player development, and we want to create an environment also for kids that is more than just basketball. So the vision was we want to help players reach their full potential, but in a team setting. We wanted to create a family-like environment, which we called the brotherhood. And we want to show that talent isn't fixed and it can be built. And we want to create life-changing experiences. So when we were getting started, I personally invested in getting 2 other trainers. So we had like 1 athletic coach, and then I hired 1 head coach. So we had 3 coaches to run the program. So in Belgium, at that point, we had 8 levels. So we started on the lowest level. So it's we call it level F in Belgium. So when we started, we had like 5 culture agreements. So the first rule for us was don't be on time, be early. Second rule was say hi coming in. I think it's a lost art, definitely with kids these days. Like when they come in, they have their headphones up. So we made it like, doesn't matter who's in the gym, you come and say hi. If you don't know them, you come and introduce yourself. Third rule, no blaming, no complaining. Not at practice, not at referees, not at games. Fourth rule, 100% effort and attitude, because those are the only 2 things that players can control when they step on the court. And the last one is Japanese cleanup. So it means, I don't know if you know a little bit about the Japanese culture, but to say it very simple is we leave the place in a better way than it was when we came in. So one other rule that we have, and that made a huge difference, is practice started when the first player arrived. So that means me as a coach, I come in at least 1 hour before practice. And whenever the first player arrives, we're already on the court and we start with like individual session. And then when the second guy comes, he joins. And the idea of this was, together with the don't be on time, be early, is you get out what you put in. If you come in early, you get rewarded with extra personal time. So this actually got way out of hand. And it ended up with us having to leave the gym because we were coming so early that On Wednesday, for example, our practices, instead of being like 90 minutes, were like 2 hours and 30 minutes. And the principal came in a couple times and eventually kicked us out because we were doing too much. But I think it really made a huge difference overall. So the goal for our coaching staff was we want to lead by example. So we always want to be the first one in the gym and the last one out. So that means also after practice, we stay. If there are kids who want to shoot extra, we're here to rebound, or if they want to work on something extra or a challenge, whatever. But we're always the first one in and the last one out. So for us, in all those 8 years, we never talked about winning. Like for us, winning was always the outcome. It was not the main goal. Our main goal was more to get them enjoying the process and fall in love with getting better every day a little bit more. And also with us, like we had, I wouldn't say equal playing time, but every player gets at least 2 shifts a game. So that means you play at least 8 minutes. We didn't had like star treatment. We didn't had like starting 5 fixed. Like it would always depend on how they would do in practice. So for our style of play, we kept it super simple in the first year. So we only had 4 rules. So the first rule is we want to play with great pace. We wanted to be the fastest playing team in the country. So our rule was the ball needs to be across midcourt in under 4 seconds. The second one is we want to have the best shot selection. So we're looking for layups and rob shots. So rob shots means in range, open, and unbalanced. So that can be different for any player. Let's say you got Steph Curry in your team. Maybe for him a rob shot is a shot from midcourt when it's open. Maybe you got a big guy. Maybe for him it's a free throw. So depending on your personnel. The third one is we wanted to be the best defensive team, so we wanted to have great intensity. So our rule was we want to make them uncomfortable 40 minutes long. So that means if your guy is not uncomfortable, it's very easy to hold players accountable to that. You're not doing your job. And the last one is we want to have great team play. So constantly we're trying to do something for someone else. So that means after a pass, you can cut, you can screen away, anything like that. You can have great spacing, whatever, but we're constantly trying to do something for someone else. So to keep it very simple, I think, or to explain it in one sentence, on offense, we want to create an advantage and then make that advantage bigger. On defense, we want to disrupt everything. Then for me, I think basketball is only the toolbox. I think if you're a youth coach, it has to be more than basketball. I posted today on social media also. So latest research shows that 0.03% of players, youth basketball players, will do anything in their career getting money from it. So that means what are we really teaching? So for me, I invested a lot on off-court activities. We had a lot of like guest coaches coming. We would do a lot of stuff to prioritize relationships with the kids. And we would do a lot of stuff to just make it really, really fun for them. Custom gear, photo shoots. We will film all their games, individual video breakdowns, all the stuff that for them make it a true experience. And so again in here, if 99% won't go pro, what are we really teaching? So I think for every youth coach, you shouldn't just be focused on just winning games. You want to prepare them for life. And like, how can we give them the tools that will shape their future? So mindset, discipline, consistency, resilience, how to navigate failure. Those are all things I think as a youth coach you should work on as much as you work on the basketball part. So when the project started, it was pretty much a disaster on the sports side. Like we would get our asses kicked. Like when we started, everywhere we go, people would laugh because we had Nike gear, which was the only ones in the country. We would have 3 coaches, we would have a video crew, we would have a photographer, and we would lose games with over 100 points. So everybody was like, what are these young guys doing in here? It's bullshit. This is not the NBA. So everything started to change after year 4. So the first 3 years we were losing games. And then after year 4, when the kids were like getting like 12, 13 years old, we started to introduce them to the off season. And at this point, we also started our own 24/7 basketball facility in Antwerp. So they had literally a home 24/7 available. And then in Belgium, like the off season would be 3-4 months. So we trained almost every day, both individually, both strength. And then just something changed after that. So the vision that we had, or the concept that we had, that was our our main thing in our team was the idea of Kaizen. I don't know if anybody ever heard about Kaizen. So it comes from Japan. It means like continuous improvement. It's from Toyota. So it means like you want to do every day something small to improve. And at some point we had literally the whole team living by this example, like I have to do something every day to get better. I will also send the presentation afterwards to Peter, so don't worry about it. Yeah. So after that season, like things started to change. We have 250 teams in the country, and suddenly we were the best scoring team. We were scoring every game over 100 points. We were winning pretty much every international tournament that we played in Spain, in Poland, in Netherlands. And we didn't just win the games, we win games with 40, 50 points. So everybody's like, what the hell has happened? This is the same team that we beat 1 or 2 years ago with 100 points. So to make a long story short, so at the end of the 8-year experiment, 8 kids did the full 8 years. We finished the season after the 8th year with the best scoring record of all time in Belgium. We averaged 125 points over the entire 60-game season. We reached the Final Four 2 times. 2 players got in the national team. 6 players are now in top division 1 or 2. And 3 guys also made it to the US. So we had some pretty good results. But what I think the biggest thing I learned from working with those kids over 8 years is it's not the results, but it's the lifelong relationships that you build through the journey. So for me, what is very important is this is already now 7 years ago that the test project finished, but I'm still in contact with every player. They're still friends together. They still go on holiday together. And I think that's pretty much way more rewarding than the stuff we did on the basketball part. So the biggest thing I learned is coaching is not about the records you break, but the lives you touch along the way. And if you ask any of those kids what is the highlights of those 8 years, nobody would say anything basketball related. They would say, that trip in Spain, or when we all got kicked out of the hotel, or when we went to the nightclub when the coach was sleeping. You know, like those are the things that they would say is the highlights, not the basketball part. So second chapter. What was the journey for me as a player development coach through those 8 years? So when I did my first practice, this was also with Serge, he took that picture. So I was 19 years old, I didn't know anything about basketball coaching. Like I didn't have a license, I didn't have any education, but I had passion and I was dedicated. So what do you do when you're new to coaching? For me, I was every day studying and copying what I thought at that point were the best player development trainers in the world. So my biggest mentors were these 4 coaches. So I tried to do what they did. So at the start, I was very like a traditional way of player development. I was huge on drilling my players. So drilling my players means I did a lot of reps on reps on reps, trying to get for an ideal technique, mostly without defenders. So what is the thing that you get when you have this traditional way of drilling your players is your players are going to look fantastic in practice. It's going to look like your guys can do every move, they make all the reads, they can do form shooting, make shots in a row. So it looks like my players are making a lot of progress in a very short time. But what happens when we went to the games, like I only saw my best players perform. So only my best guys would do all the stuff that we did in practice, but not my less guys or the guys who are less talented. So I always had this idea, like, why don't I see the transfer from practice to the game with everybody? Because we're all doing the same thing, we're all putting in the work. So what's the problem is if you go for drilling or block practice, it gives you a false feeling of improvement. So it means like players are maybe excelling in repetitive drills, but they struggle in unpredictable game situations. So it looks like they're flawless in practice, they make all the correct reads, they can make shots in a row, but the problem with this is there is no pressure, there is no unpredictability, and there is no decision making. So then I started to learn from the opposite, kind of like random practice. So now we're doing variable reps, like repetition without repetition. So it means like every rep is going to be different. For example, we change, let's say you do form shooting, so you cannot shoot 2 times from the same spot, you cannot shoot 2 times from the same footwork, cannot shoot 2 times from the same distance, so stuff like that. And then, of course, a lot of game-like situations. So when we started to do that kind of stuff, we had way better results. So here are another some examples. So passing with defenders, one-on-one games, or multiple small-sided games, shooting from different spots. There's all examples of random practice. So the idea is repetition without repetition. So always find different ways to improve adaptability and your decision making. So why does it work? It's improving adaptability, you have better performance with your players, there's way more long-term retention. And if you look at, there are a lot of researchers, probably you're gonna talk about this one also, yeah, so I'm gonna leave that to you. So, but a lot of research shows the difference in, better results. So for me, I think what helped me the most to really understand the difference between blocked and random practice was what I learned from Trevor Rogan about training ugly. So if you think you have a zoo tiger and a jungle tiger. So if you look at the zoo tiger, the environment where he lives in is very controlled. Like he's getting his food every day at the same time. There is pretty much no risks. It's always the same. He's comfortable. He knows what to expect. Then if you look at the jungle tiger, like every day is different. He always constantly needs to adapt. He constantly needs to trust his instincts. There can be danger every time. It's unpredictable, and he needs to work to get his food. So if you look at the coaching parallel between those two, like zoo tiger coaching is you focus on repetition. Pretty much most practices would be the same. The drills are very controlled. It's perfect execution, but there is no unpredictability. If you look at jungle tiger coaching, you want to encourage decision making, creativity, adaptability, and mostly put the emphasis on reacting to real game situations. So if you look at the game, for me the game is the wild. Like it's unpredictable, it's complex, and it's different every time. So what happens if you're gonna bring the zoo tiger and put the zoo tiger, release them into the wild? Only the strongest are gonna survive. And that's what you see with pretty much every U team. They have like 2 or 3 good guys who do a great job, and then the other guys like number 8 to 12, they probably don't have much results when you get them on the court. So some ideas from other coaches to go over this topic. So I like this one from Coleman. So training without defense will make your reads rusty and you lose touch with what works and what doesn't. I like this one from Tim Martin from, for the guys who don't know him, he's a trainer of Wembanyama. So bones over cones, basketball is still a reactive sport, not a memorization sport. This one from Coach Steve Duggs from Team USA. So being skilled means nothing if you can't translate it to the game. And then this one I think was very powerful from Jamal Crawford. Like he was saying that he never done a drill in his life and that he constantly was trying to go for like one-on-one games or like in his head visualization stuff. So and he says that his handles looks different probably because of that. Then this is some research. I think Peter sent it to me actually. Where is he? Yeah, you sent it to me, right? I think you sent it to me like 2 months ago or something like that, or you posted it. So it was kind of like an experiment, I think, at the university in Michigan, where you do like a catch and shoot drill, like just repetitions. I think it was like 5 spots, 10 makes, something like that. And then you did the same stuff, but with decision making. And then you see at the difference between the brain activity. So with catch and shoot, with block practice, you almost have no brain. Nothing going on in the brain. And then if you look at the one with decision making, you see a lot more going on. So research shows that you can get up to 30 to 40% more, better improvement if you work on decision making. So I like this one from Phil Hanley from he was a long time the trainer of the Lakers for player development, and he said the best players are the best problem solvers, and I think he's 100% right. So how can we create a practice environment where players need to be solving problems? So now we come to the next chapter. It's going to be about the games approach. So we're developing skills and basketball IQ through play. So this is shout out to this guy. I don't know if anybody knows him. If you don't know him, please look him up. They call him the Yoda of basketball training. So he's like Mike McKay from Canada Basketball. He taught me pretty much everything almost, I think, 10 years ago. So Canada is way ahead of pretty much every other country in the world, together for me with Australia. Like they figured this stuff out a very long time ago, and he showed me pretty much the whole framework. So what he says, player development is about putting players in game-like situations to develop basketball IQ and skill. Small-sided games create real game pressure, and constraints force players to problem solve, adapt, and make decisions. So how do we do it? So first of all, the idea behind the games approach is very simple. It's we're teaching and learning the game while we're playing the game. So it can be anything from one-on-one to three-on-three, just not the game 5-on-5. So the idea is there is no perfect solution or perfect technique. The only right technique is the one that gives the desired outcome for the player. So what are some benefits of small-sided games? You get more touches than in the real game. It's easier to make decisions. There are more scoring opportunities. It involves more players, and there's more room for creativity. So what is the challenging part about using small-sided games, and this is where I see most coaches struggle with, is we have to find the optimal learning zone. It has to be challenging, but achievable. So are our players challenged in the right way? Not too hard and not too easy. How do we really know that with small-sided games that our players are really getting better? So we need as coaches to find the optimal level of improvement. So there are three types of zones that research shows. So the trash zone is, let me give you an example. Let's say I would play one-on-one against LeBron James. So if LeBron James plays against me, he's probably, if I play against LeBron and he's playing defense on me, I'm probably going to have less than 60% success rate because he's just too good. So that means I can train the whole summer with LeBron. I'm probably just going to make very little progress because it's too hard for me. The opposite is true. Is if he plays against me, like it will be way too easy for him. So he's going to be above 80% success rate. So that means he's not going to really get out of his comfort zone and really improve. And success rate doesn't mean that the ball needs to go in. Success rate means that you need to be able to find the right solution for the problem. So we have to find the sweet zone is between those two. So 60 to 80% success rate, that is where the magic happens and our players are really improving. So how can we make sure that our players are training in the sweet zone, which is very hard if you have a full team because every player is going to be a different level. So now we come to CLA, so the constraint-led approach. So what is the idea behind this is we're going to modify the game. So we're going to adjust rules, space, or tasks to shape learning. So it's about guided discovery. So players adapt and find solutions on their own. And everything will be game-like. So skills develop in realistic situations. So the idea behind CLA is problem solving. So we're combining skills and basketball IQ at the same time. So what kind of constraints, for example, can you use as a trainer in your practices? So one of the biggest things that coaches use is we start with an advantage. So when we start with an advantage, it helps to have a higher success rate. It helps for players to have more time to, or more time, space, or whatever to simplify their decision making. So to give you some examples of start with an advantage can be defender starts on your hip, defender starts behind you. We play 2-on-1, 3 versus 2, stuff like this. It can be space. The closeout is a little bit further, so you have a little bit more time to make your decision. Those are all advantages you can use. Then we can have technical constraints. So, for example, limited dribbles when you play 3-on-3, or limited shot selection. You need to finish with a layup or a three-point shot. Or even you can go more in detail, must start with a float dribble, must finish with a floater. Those are all technical constraints. Then we can have space constraints. So for example, we play 3-on-3, but we only use 2/3 of the court. We play 1-on-1, but only in the paint. Or 2-on-2, but we have to stay between the elbows. Those are all space constraints. Tactical constraints. So for example, you have to score in 3-on-3 out of a pick and roll. Or we must start with a dribble handoff. Or you can only score out of an off-ball action. Stuff like that. Then score system constraints. So for example, this one I liked. I was 2 weeks ago in the team that's now first in the Netherlands. Also a brilliant coach. And they would have, for the whole season, they would have constraints on scoring. So for example, for them, mid-range shots, the whole season in practice is only worth 1 point. everything inside the paint is worth 2, and 3-pointers is worth 3. Why? Because they want their players to step away from shooting mid-range shots. You can still do it, but it's going to give you less points. So they adapt because they want to win, so they step away from that. Then something that he does, because he's huge on taking offensive boards. So if you can score out of offensive rebound, the game always stops. You immediately win. So it puts an emphasis on going harder for the offensive rebound. Then a lot of games for him would be you have to get a stop and a make. That's the only way to score a point. So those are different scoring constraints. Then I really like tools constraints. So for example, I saw you use also a lot of this stuff. Let's say you have a pro player and we're playing defense. It's too easy for them because when they go to EuroLeague, they go to NBA, they have 7-footers playing defense. So now we have the sticks that we can use to go and contest. With kids, for example, I do a lot of stuff where defender needs to hold the ball. So now, for example, if the defender needs to hold 2 hands on the ball, they cannot use their hands. So it's much easier for the offense to create an advantage. We can do same thing like with a towel above your head. So now the defender is going to be way higher, so it's easier to attack the hips or his feet, but he can still use the towel to block. Those are different tools constraints to use. So then my own experience and my tips on if you would use small-sided games in CLA. So I did a full year when I got back from learning that from Canada. I wanted to experiment, so I did only small-sided games and CLA for an entire season, 12 months, from under 12 till our academy under 21, and also with my pro players. So what I saw is like my players were getting way more creative and adaptable. So for me, creativity, what does it mean? It means intelligence, having fun. It means that I can see the problem and I can solve the problem at the same time. But I think he has like a time and place. For me, what I saw was my less experienced players. I felt like we made less progress than the previous years. So players who were new to the game, for example, things that I saw is like if they're new to the game and they don't watch the game or they're not very creative from themselves, like they would always try to go for the dominant hand to dribble, dominant hand to finish. They would always, a lot of players would make the same mistakes because they don't figure things out, like what are different options to do it. I felt like we had less progress with shooting that season also. But on the other hand, I felt like the older and experienced players were improving so much more. Like the pros, for example, were improving so much more. The older guys, they absolutely loved it. And yeah, I felt for them, it was definitely way better than what we had before. Yeah. Yes.
When you say older, what age?
Yeah, I would say from U16, U18, U21.
It's not 35.
No, 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 no.
No,
No, no, no. Yeah.
I mean, as you work also with pros, this
Yeah.
is like when you say year older, it's like
Yeah, I would say
younger.
yeah, I would say older than 15.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So I think there's still a time and place to teach moves or concepts on air. Why, for example, let's say if you only use CLA, I don't see kids who come up with trying a floater themselves, or I feel like a lot of details in moves get lost. So I feel like it's more rusty that they use the skills if you only teach CLA. So for me, there's a time and place for still teaching moves or concepts on air. Yeah.
My question is how you find the balance between on-air practice
Yes.
and
It's going to be my next slide. Yes. After this one. So yeah, you have to find the right approach. So to make it very simple for me, on what I learned, I would say less experienced players, we would still spend a little bit more time on traditional practice. And when the players are more experienced, we would use more CLA and small-sided games. So if I would put it in percentage, I would say I would still do a lot more small-sided games than on air. But with younger players, I would do 60% and 40% on air. With more experienced players, it would be more like 80-20 on average. So it also depends. Like one other problem we saw with using so many small-sided games is we had way more injuries because their practices are way more intense. There is way more opportunities to go and land on a player's foot. Let's say if you have, and we have 5 practices a week, and we still have 1 or 2 games, we had a lot of injuries that season because it's way more intense. So that's also something like you cannot go 90 minutes hard every week, or it's much harder, I would say like that. So what would I use on air? Mostly in warm-ups or between small-sided games. I would do like challenges, for example, to earn the water break. That what I would do with the older guys. So this one I got from Canada. They use the rule of 3, 10, and 30. So the rule of 3 would be like when you give constraints or you give points of emphasis in small-sided games, never say more than 3 things. So it's the same. Let's say I work with Peter and I say, let's work on your shooting. You need to work on your feet. Got to be a little bit more pointed towards the rim. You got to get your elbow under the ball. You got to load to wrist. You got to follow through. You need to get your eye looking over the ball. Like how many things do you remember? Like, and a lot of coaches do it. It's the same. Like when I walk in the academy in the pre-game locker room, and then the coaches, we need to do this, 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 and this. All right, let's go, boom. And then I say, okay, coach, don't look at the whiteboard. Tell me what are the points of emphasis for this game. And then he's like, oh yeah, we need to do this, this. What was the 4th point? What was the 5th point? And he needs to think himself. Like if you as a coach couldn't even remember, what do you expect your players to remember? So never say more than 3 things. Also pre-game, don't say more than 3 things in a timeout. Anything, keep it simple. Then the rule of 10 is never try to do a drill longer than 10 minutes. If you do a drill longer than 10 minutes, intensity go down, focus go down. So we try to always bring some kind of variation or load or a new game or drill after 10 minutes. And then the rule of 30, I think, is the biggest one. So the best games are the simple games. So you want to create games that you can explain under 30 seconds. If you're talking longer than 30 seconds, it means like you're making it too complicated most of the time. So what I learned from the best coaches is they have very good pace in their practice. Like everything is super smooth, is boom, go, 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 go. So the only exception when you try to talk longer than 30 seconds is when you're teaching a golden nugget or when you're teaching something for the first time. So a golden nugget means you're going to have a game-changing insight that will stick with players probably for the rest of their career. Then this is a very interesting study done in soccer from Glasgow Rangers, and I think Canada Basketball actually did the same and came up with pretty much the same results. So what did Glasgow Rangers do? They hired 7 people to watch all the practices of their coaches, and they were timing how long they were talking in practice. And they saw that an average coach would talk 45% of the time in practice. So that means this is something I think as coaches we try to do is we over-talk. So that means if you have a 90-minute practice, your players are actually only working out 60 minutes. So less talk, more work. So don't try to be the PlayStation coach. So the PlayStation coach is just like you playing NBA 2K, you're trying to control everything. So you're yelling all the instructions. You see this all the time if you watch youth games, like shoot the ball, pass, go get the rebound, run back, play this, go screen, blah, blah, blah. So they're constantly trying to tell the players what to do. So I think good coaches, you got to give players the time and space to make mistakes, read the game, make mistakes, and also like make decisions and problem solve themselves. So the best vision and it's very hard, but I think I truly believe in this, is guided discovery. So you'll have to let the games do the talking for you. So instead of giving all the answers to the players, you set up the game and they will come up with the answers or the problem solving themselves. So the goal of coaching is to make the players think for themselves, not rely on you for every decision. I like this one from Peter Lonergan from Australia Basketball. He said, if you use small-sided games, CLA, you have to embrace the mess because your practices are going to be messy. You're going to see turnovers, you're going to see air balls, you're going to see a lot of mistakes, but that means your players are getting better. So if your players are not making mistakes in practice, they are not getting better. So this is, I see a lot, is when I go and watch coaches in practice. After practice, they're like really ashamed. Yeah, my players made so many mistakes and they were not doing this good. And it's kind of like they're ashamed that their players are not showing like perfect results. But it's actually, this is the way how players learn. So embrace the mistakes. It means like they're growing. It's not failure. Then I think this is huge, is when you give feedback on this, you always have to celebrate the decision over the outcome. So that means, let's say during the game, I go 1-on-3 to the basket, and the players are not shooting. So I say, okay, coach, and I make this terrible shot, but it's 2 points, don't be like, yes, good job, you scored 2 points. No, it's a bad decision. All right, 1-on-3, not for you, pass the ball. Or the opposite is true. Let's say I do a great backdoor cut and I blow the layup, but it was a great decision to do the backdoor cut. Celebrate the decision over that. Perfect read. Don't care about the missed layup. Then the last chapter, just some coaching advice, some things I learned over the past 15 years of doing this. I think the first thing as a coach is, as a youth coach, is you got to make your practices super fun. I posted today, I think there's a burnout of almost 70% of kids at the years of 13 step away from organized sports because they're bored, they had bad experiences, or they're not having fun anymore. So I see too many youth coaches take it way too seriously. Like, your first job is you got to make players fall in love with the game, and it got to be super fun. So that means you got to smile more. Smiling is super important as coaching. You create a positive energy, you help your players feel comfortable and valued, and it's contagious, like it creates a good vibe. Then for me, the two pillars of great coaching is relational and technical. For me, relational coaching is the most important one. You got to build trust, you have to be able to build strong connections, you have to be good in communication to your players and help them develop beyond the game. Technical coaching, very easy, you got to know your stuff. Skills, strategies, everything to help them elevate as a player. Then I like this one from John Wooden. The soft skills are where you make the greatest impact more than your knowledge of the game. When you can combine both, you will unlock the full potential of every player on and off the court. And I think that's 100% correct. So these are the two type of youth coaches I would see. So you have transformational coach and a transactional coach. So transformational coach is a coach who is focused on more than just basketball. He wants to build relationships and trust with your players. He wants to create a growth-focused environment. He wants to develop life skills beyond the game, and he prioritizes the development of the player over short-term wins. So these are transformational coaches, help players develop in well-rounded individuals. Then the opposite is a transactional coach. So transactional coach is only focused on wins. He doesn't spend any time on building relationships with his players. He wants quick results, he wants measurable goals, and he wants immediate improvement. So probably these are coaches who are only happy when they got the win. So this, something I learned over the years, is players absolutely don't care how much you know about the game until they know how much you care about them. So relationships, I think, is more important than knowledge as a coach. So I truly believe in that the heart of coaching is connection and love. In order to help someone, there has to be absolute trust, there has to be a good connection, and there has to be love. I like this one from Coach K from Duke. So coaching is a service. You give without expecting to get back. The true reward lies in the lives you shape, not in the recognition you receive. Then for me, I always get this question, what is for you a great youth coach? And for me, I can see it in 1 minute in your practice. When you talk to your players, you have to look at the eyes of the players. How are the eyes? Are the players like looking at the floor? Are they looking at the ceiling? Are they bored? Or do you see like they make eye contact? They have shiny eyes. Even when I can see that they have shiny eyes, I know you're doing a great job as a coach. Doesn't even matter how your practices look like. So for me, coaching youth should be done by CMPs only. So that's something that, Peter, we talk about a lot. So certified nice persons. So I like, for example, what Manchester United has in soccer is to, when they're hiring new coaches, they need to do the sun test. And the sun test means like all the board, you can only be on the board if you have a son. And the rule is, would you let this coach coach your son? If the answer is yes, he's welcome to the club. If you say like, I would never let this coach be the coach of my son, then he's not coming. So I think that's a very easy way to say it, but it's a pretty good one. So coaching kids should be one of the least ego-driven roles. It's not about self-promotion, it's about creating a supportive environment for kids to develop through basketball. I see this too many times where you see an under 12 youth game, and then the coach plays 8 kids and 4 kids stay on the bench, and when the game is done, the kids are like sagging in defense, they let the other team shoot, they give every ball to their best player, and when the game is done, the coach is like on the court like he won the Champions League. Like, I think that's one of the most terrible things in in basketball. It's not about the coach, it's about the kids. And I like this one, what I learned from last year. I spent some time at Chemnitz. This coach, absolutely genius, and he was always saying like simple is best. The best coaches make the game so simple that players can play freely without overthinking. So what he always was saying during practice, like don't think, do. He wanted players to make first touch decisions, and the moment they freeze, he was always like don't think, do. Just play basketball, don't think, do. And same thing from him. It's like nothing gets more coaches fired than overcomplicating the game. So he had one of the lowest budgets in Germany, and they finished the season, I think, second, or even, yeah, I think second after Bayern München, and he won the Euro Cup. So pretty crazy, yeah, pretty crazy achievement, definitely with the very low budget that he had, but he kept it super simple. Then I like this one I learned from Liverpool in soccer. So they did a study studying all the teams that won Champions League, that won the World Cups and all that stuff. And they found out that intensity is way more important than quality. So that means like the teams will play with the highest intensity. So that means they defend more aggressively, they run faster, they make faster decisions, they run more than the other team. Those are the teams who have the most chance of winning championships. And I think it's absolutely the same in basketball. So for me, the key to coaching at the pro level is two things: clarity and accountability. Clarity is you need to make it super clear what you expect from your players on and off the court. Accountability is you cannot let anything slip. You have to hold players accountable every single time. And that is probably the hardest thing about coaching is every single day you have to have the same standard. Because if you let it slip one time, the players are going to notice, and you need to constantly remind them. It's like, how can I say the same thing in 1,000 different ways? So high-level coaching is more about managing people than it is about teaching basketball. Then a couple more. You need to, you need to have the rule of three if you really want to build culture. So this is probably one of the best things I learned also from Canada. So the rule of three is when you have your standards or your culture in your team, if somebody breaks a rule, so that can be, let's say, he's late in practice, that can be he's not touching the baseline, that can be also on the court decision making, he goes 1-on-2, he should have passed the ball, you have to hold yourself accountable. So, hey, my bad, I had to pass the ball, or you come in, you do push-ups, sorry I'm late, something like that. If the player is not holding himself accountable, then his teammate needs to hold him accountable. So now you need to be like, hey man, that's 1-on-2, pass the ball. Or like, hey man, you didn't touch the baseline when you sprint. Or hey, do your push-up, you were late. So you want to get to the level where it's constantly level 1 or 2. Only if the first two rules don't apply, then the coach should be on it. Like, hey man, you're late. Hey man, you should have passed the ball. But for example, what I always did was, I would, let's say he goes 1-on-2 and we have a wide open guy in the corner, he doesn't pass the ball, he takes a terrible shot. So I stopped the practice and I was like, hey, was that a good decision? And then I asked the other guys, and they were like, oh, no, he should have passed the ball. Like, why didn't nobody talk to him? If you see that, you have to hold him accountable and you have to talk to them. And once you can get on that level, like we had it with the test project, like I could be coaching and I could sit on the bench and they would run everything. Everything. Like they would talk, the bench would be talking, and I need to do some subs. Maybe I have to use a timeout, say a couple things, and I can just let them play, and they play fantastic basketball. Because that's where you want to get, where everything is like player-led. Then I think this one is huge. You can never take credit for a player's success. I think that's for players to decide who has helped them. And I truly believe like it's not the coach who makes the player, it's already in the player. We just help them to guide them to it. So a coach is a guide, we're not the hero. We set the direction, but it's the players who do the work, and we just help them to reach the destination. Our reward is in their growth, not in their recognition. Honesty beats trust. You have to be a truth teller, and you have to hold your players accountable. I think that's something that also a lot of coaches struggle with. A couple more. Watch out for the trophy parent. I think this is one of the biggest red flags I've seen over the last 15 years. Is if you have a parent who played, most of the time he played basketball, he never done anything at the high level, and then he's projecting his unlived dreams on their child. that's always going to give you troubles. So watch out, because if you have one bad parent in your group, that can have a huge impact on the whole team. So with parents, it's always like the 80-20 rule. 20% of the parents will take up 80% of your time. So there are three things that can help you. I think the three biggest issues with parents is always one, lack of clarity. So when it's not clear about expectations, about roles, about playing time, about what do you expect from parents, from players, frustrations are going to come up. So it always has to do with no communication or poor communication. And the last one is they will talk to you or they will give you problems, probably because they're just concerned about their child and they think their child is not treated in the right way. Then I learned this from Coach Bob. He said the best coaches are the ones who stay curious and continue to learn. So the biggest thing that changed my mind is the 10-minute rule. So the 10-minute rule means like everybody get 10 minutes a day. So the hardest thing about learning something new is to start. So if you can block out 10 minutes a day to go and start learning something, listening to a podcast, watch a video, read a book, anything you want. If you can, on your bad days, it will be 10 minutes and then you stop. But on most days, 10 minutes become, maybe you're listening to a podcast in the car. 10 minutes become 30 minutes, or maybe an hour, or maybe on a good day, you're really locked in and it becomes 2 or 3 hours. But if you can learn at least 10 minutes every day, in 1 year, you're going to be ahead of 99% of people in the world already. So if we never lose that white belt mentality and you always wake up thinking you don't know anything and you want to go and figure it out, you're going to have an advantage that so little people have. So over the years, I think this one would be a good maybe to take a picture. This would be the coaches who inspire me at this point the most and who I constantly try to go and learn from. So I think for me, what works for me is social media. I think it's one of the best ways to constantly get inspired. I don't follow my friends. I follow other coaches. And that gives me, like, every day when I open my phone, I get inspired and learn at least something new. And then I think the last one is, this one I learned over the years, is the people who want to see you win will help you win. I think that's a huge thing. So thank you for listening. I know I've been talking a lot. I hope you're not tired of my voice. And you're probably going to add a lot more to it. Any more questions from you guys?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the presentation, you talked about the process
Mm-hmm.
of the team, and you mentioned that you saw a change coming when you moved into your own facility and when you had, let's say, more time to work with the guys.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you said also at one moment you changed your approach how you work with the players, going from the block practice to the CLA.
Yeah.
Was that more or less the same time?
That was
Or-
2 years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the change was not related to the CLA. It was more related that you had more time
Yes.
with the kids.
Yeah, and I think you just need time.
Yeah.
Like what I see in our academy guys is year 1, it's all new. Year 2, you see sometimes some results, and year 3, they're better than most kids of their age. Year 4, they should be like excel in their age. So I think it just also, developing players takes time. You need multiple years. That's why I don't like the European model where you have kids for 2 years and then you go to the next coach, because the moment you start to make progress, you need to give them away, and they start in a way a little bit, yeah, from zero. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
What about other sports?
Yes. A very good question.
Basketball.
Yeah.
How much time you invest in other
Yes.
sports?
Yes. 100%. Great question. So for me, I've done a lot of research, because the other company I started, Kids Sports, is we teach 6 different ball sports to kids under 5 years together with their parents. So I did a lot of research on that, and all the research is saying that when kids are under 12 or 14, 12 to 14, they should do as much different sports as possible. So if I could choose at that age, I would say don't do more than 2 times a week basketball, but try to do soccer two times or one time, or like maybe do like seasons like you have in the USA where you do like 3 months this, 3 months this. I think that's the best model, because there has been a study last year in Division 1 sports of all different sports, so basketball, whatever, and 83% of the of the players who played Division 1 did multiple sports when they were under 12. 83%. It's a crazy number. So for us, what we do in the academy is when we have postseason, so after the season, we do 3 months where we do only 3x3 and other sports. So we do soccer, American football, and baseball also in those times. So I would say when kids are younger, I would definitely let them experience multiple sports for sure. Yeah.
It's in Netherlands.
In Belgium.
Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium. Yeah. Yes.
Question. You talk about the punishment if someone come for the training late.
Yeah.
What do you think about the best punishment? He always late for the training and.
Yeah. We do, for example, like air bike. So like they need to do 1 minute air bike and like sprint. Because the good thing is after 1 minute you're already dead, so they're already warmed up. Yeah. Push-ups is another one. You make it something that afterwards they can immediately jump in and not have to warm up after.
I see.
Like running, for example, or yeah. I don't really believe in punishments, but I think we don't really do it.
Punishment. It's like
Yeah. But I think for that one it's okay because it's kind of like you warm up this way instead of being a punishment. Like, but I step away from punishments. It's more like I do more questioning. Like, I think that's always stronger than. Or when you do a punishment, it gets to be super fast, like something that takes 12 seconds or something. You know. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
For more specific skills, what's the age where you're like, okay, this is the age where maybe they can start working on more skills instead of the whole team practice? Experience.
You mean like in a team concept or?
Yeah, like what age from 12, 13, 14, where you start to be like, he needs to work more on shooting moves.
Like individually, you mean?
Individual skills.
For me, I think the biggest thing I learned is the ones who make it, they are the ones who are great in the basic fundamentals. So a lot of times, everybody needs work on the basic, and we call it the Super Six, finishing, footwork, shooting, passing, decision making. I forgot one. Creating off the dribble, yeah. Thank you. There we go. So it's like, those are the things you can always work on. But for me, we start to specialize when they're under 18. So till U16, everybody got the same program. And then from U18, we have like IPPs, so individual performance plans. So now we're going to be a little bit more like, what's your future going to look like in the game? And they have 15 minutes every practice to work on that stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. Good? All right, thank you.
Stretch legs for 2 minutes, grab some water. I can get set up.